Our next speaker is Christian Ludemann. He has built a great career in software engineering and now works as a consultant at his own firm. And he will give tips on how to become a highly paid tech freelancer. So, welcome, Christian.
Thank you, thank you. I'm just waiting for my slides. I think my slides is uploading now. Yeah, this is a talk for especially for software developers that are already got a job and are looking to go independent with their own freelance business, which is something I did a couple of years ago, and I was really glad about that decision. And in this talk, I will show you how I did it, so you can either get inspired or follow some of the tips to do it yourself. I think the slides are ready now. So we will be looking at my freelance story, how I got started, and like how my career looked like, and what separates the average developers from the 10x developers, how to find your dev's bullseye, which is like your sweet spot and which niche you should be specializing in, and then how to accelerate your career by marketing yourself efficiently, and how to get freelance clients. So my freelance story is, a little bit about myself first. My name is Christian Ludemann. I'm from Denmark. I'm 29 years old. I finished engineering school back in 2016, and now I'm one of the highest paid freelancers in my field, which is Angular development. And I do consulting and training in Angular, and you can also read more about that on my website at christianludemann.com. So in 2016, I graduated from the engineering school. I got my first job, which was quite nice paying job, I think, at a financial institute, making around 80,000 US dollars per month, straight from college. I was working there, for almost 2 years, and I was really, really motivated. I was 23 years old at this time. I was really motivated to just give it all I had on my first job, and I was quite ambitious about having a good career. So I was working 60 hours a week at this job, and I was reading every recommended programming book and tried to learn as much as possible, taking courses and always learning stuff on the job. And then in 2018, I started blogging about my work and my knowledge, and I realized just hustling 60 hours a week on my job wasn't going to realize my goals of young financial independence. And I remember I had this talk once with my previous boss that he could only offer like 4% salary increases a year, and that was not really the path I was looking for. Then I realized that I could become an independent freelancer, and I could start making a lot more money, and also work in a more flexible way. So I started creating this blog and started marketing myself and building a brand in Angular development, which is the thing I was working with at that time. And luckily, there was many freelance jobs and many companies looking for help in Angular development. So I landed my first freelance client. And that was actually just after writing 3 blog posts and almost 1.9 years at the full-time job. I got this nice 12-month freelance contract at this agricultural firm. And my rate almost doubled when I started freelancing. And also, as an Angular consultant, I also got a lot better because I was able to start working with different clients, and I was all in on just Angular instead of doing a lot of full stack development before. Just working on one thing, focus on one thing as a freelancer gave me this competitive advantage of just being very sharp in one thing. Also, this was how I market myself. I was keep writing blog posts. I was speaking at meetups and such to really make my online profile be really strong in Angular development. So I kept getting more freelance clients, and I got this opportunity to go to Zurich and work as a freelancer there. I was doing training and consulting in Zurich, which was a nice experience to try and move to a different country and work for a lot of different companies and meet a lot of different people. Then after, I started getting some of the best contracts in Denmark in regards to Angular development. So I moved back to Denmark. I started taking more of these tech lead and coaching consulting gigs rather than just doing the raw app development. And I created this online coding school where I was teaching Angular development online through this 8-week mentorship. I consulted companies hands-on with coach, lead expert at a significantly higher rate. And yeah, in the end, it turned out really well. And of this whole trip from going to Zurich and having this experience with all the different companies put me on, give me access to the best contracts in my country. And later on, after 1 year into the pandemic, I got this. I started turning everything online because I wanted to travel and be able to travel with my work, and also I have saved up a significant investment portfolio, so I didn't really need to work that much anymore. So I mostly focused on work I actually wanted to do. So that was more like side projects. I still did consulting work here and there, and worked on my online Angular course, and just worked on the projects I found interesting, and took some consulting work here and then make sure to travel to all the cities in the world and live in different places as I desired. So that was my story. So what separates the average developers from the 10x developers? So most developers go through the career this way. They go to college, but are not creating relevant projects in the spare time, mostly just focusing maybe on getting good grades in school. And they get a more or less generalist developer job, maybe making a decent salary, but they might not be learning as much after graduation. And that probably leads to this slower pay raise and acceleration through the career. And they need to do these job changes to really get the bigger jumps in pay raise, like for example changing to another company, and then they can maybe get a 10 or 20% raise. Also, that was what I saw when I had my first job in the bank, where I could only get like 4% pay raises yearly. And they never really become a go-to person in the technology niche, and they don't really market themselves outside the company. And then there are the 10x developers that go to college or take some coding bootcamp, and they get a generalist developer job in the first 1 or 2 years. Maybe because they have more experience and relevant side projects, they can maybe get a better job. That's what I saw. If you have some side projects as you go to full college and you can present them, that is more important than good grades. And they are learning something every day. They're starting the workday, for example, with reading relevant blog posts or taking courses. They are going to meetups, sharing knowledge. Maybe they're doing blogging, or YouTube, or speaking at conferences, and they're starting to build up this online presence in a niche. And then they become a freelancer, and they will start making like 2 or 4x what they would normally make if they were just being a normally employee. So accelerating your career. So I got this method to how to find your niche and how you can start accelerating your career and start becoming a highly paid freelancer. So I actually recommend that you start as a generalist to explore your different interests and your different skills you could be good at, and also just to get a broad foundation, which is also what I did. So get some generalists, maybe some full stack job, and do both the back end, the front end, and try a lot of different technologies so you can develop some preferences. Then later on, you can find your bullseye, your niche to specialize in. For example, for me, it's Angular development. It could be React development for others. It could be whatever technology you find interesting. And you start building a brand in that niche by learning and marketing yourself in that niche efficiently. So this is how it looks like. You gotta be passionate about it, otherwise you will not stay consistent with it. You need to find something you could be good at to stay competitive, and you need to find something that actually is a market for, so something that people are willing to pay for high market value. And I've figured out like the newer technologies in tech, like for example Angular development or some other new trends, could be like cross development, cross app development platform. And they're quite good to find a fit here because they're quite new, and there can be quite high demand on it without a lot of people that can do it. And you can also combine technologies to make up your own unique niche. You can take care of not being too general. You don't want to become like the full stack developer later on, because that is not really specialized in one thing. You rather become the go-to person in one niche. But you can mix up in-demand technologies you want to specialize in and market yourself in. So let me show you some examples. So for me, my specialty was Angular and DevOps. I knew how to create DevOps pipelines, and I knew how to create Angular apps. So that was also what I was blogging about, how to do DevOps with Angular. And companies were looking for these skills. Companies were looking for people that could both do DevOps and Angular. And these days, it's something you have to be able to do both. So that's one example of two things you can combine to create a unique niche, also for your blog, and things you can, and something you can, something you can go to meetups and talk about. It could also be UX with Angular. If UX was more your thing, and then you could do a blog about design and how to do it with Angular, React, or some other front-end framework, and you can really stand out. And you be the guy that can both design and also can actually implement with one of the frameworks. It could be Angular and test automation. If you're really into tests, you could do a blog or do talks about testing and how to do end-to-end testing and unit testing with Jest and all that. So that's some ideas you can start thinking about, like what should my niche be? Like as long as you're fitting like the passion thing and something you can be good at and something there's a market for, then you have a fit you can try and start marketing yourself. So how do you actually market yourself, and why is it important? It's important because if you cannot prove it, no one cares. You need to give people some tangible proof that you actually are good at something. And decision makers are the one proofs, not evidence. So if you have some content or you have some conference talk or meetup talk or a blog, that is way better than some resume or LinkedIn profile claims, because everyone is writing a lot of programming languages and things on the LinkedIn profile. And good marketing makes it easier for the decision makers to say yes. So if you already have a lot of proof that you're good at what you're doing, then it makes it a lot easier, and they'll also pay you better. Best bet developers are not the best developers necessarily, but they're good developers with an efficient and consistent marketing approach. And if you're good at if you're proving you're good for marketing, you're minimizing the risk of a bad hire for the employer or the client. So they're willing to pay you more if you have a lot of blog posts out there, if you have a lot of conference or YouTube videos that actually prove that you're good at what you're doing. They pay more for that, because it's like an insurance premium. And when you're doing marketing right and you're doing all these things, either blogging or speaking at conferences or podcasting and such, interviews become very easy. You just show up to a casual interview because they already think you're good, and you'll just talk about like general terms, but then we'll not screen you anymore for technical skills because we already think you're good. So it becomes very easy to get clients from that point. Some people have some mental obstacles with marketing itself, which I'll just go through because normally stops people doing any of these things. Many people, especially developers, have a problem with marketing and selling, and you have to let go of this if you are committed to reaching the next level in your career. Many associate selling with sleazy used car salesman, and that couldn't be further from the truth, because selling is about providing value. You're already selling yourself all the time, so you might as well be good at it and doing it in an efficient way. Selling is simply about making it easy for people to make an accurate buying decision. And you're selling by creating proofs and letting the truth shine through. And we're not trying to bullshit people and telling people we can do something we can't. We stand our ground in our niche, and if there's something we can't do, we're not trying to. We'll just be honest with the client and say, this is what we do. And if it's not a bad fit, we're willing to walk away. It also gives you a lot more credibility, because if you're not too desperate for getting the contract, but you're standing your ground. This is what I do. And also it will get you paid more, because you will be a better fit for the contract. So what are the different ways to market yourself as a developer? I researched some different ways to do it. So one of them is speaking at conferences and meetups. It builds a lot of trust if you do that. It's a little harder to begin with, but it's a fast way to get known in the niche. Literally, if you go to one big conference or meetup, then like hundreds of thousands of people will know you from just maybe like a short presentation. So it's very efficient. Then the next best thing is podcasting. Guest podcasting, where you go and either create your own podcast and talk about some theme, or you go and guest podcast on someone else's podcast. Then you can create YouTube videos, which is also like a way so the viewers can get to know you better. It can take some longer time, and then you can do blogging, which was how I started, because it doesn't really require any performance to do blogging. It's just when you have time, you can start writing, and it provides content you can use for the other mediums. You can create a blog post, and you can go speak at a conference later. So how to find your marketing methods? So I started doing blogging, and then I started doing YouTube videos once in a while, and then I started speaking at meetups and conferences and podcasts, which will come later on. And if in doubt, I'll just recommend you start with a blog, start creating just set up a WordPress theme, and you start blogging about some niche you found from the devs Bullseye. And choose what you're confident in. If you're very confident in speaking, you might go directly to YouTube. If you're feel more like writing, you go to writing. But as I said, you can start with just one medium, and you can redistribute it into other medias later. And then getting the freelance clients. I got my first client when I wrote free blog posts. And I figured that works really good if you just have free blog posts in your niche and you link them up to your resume. So your resume is linking to the blog post. That is giving you a lot of more credibility, and people are not really doing this. So that makes you stand out and gives you a lot of proof that you can actually do what you're claiming you can do. And then you can post on LinkedIn and Twitter if you wanna really amp up the social presence. And you can add people on LinkedIn from the relevant groups, like React developers groups, and you can post, for example, small snippets of React development and tips daily. And when decision makers are liking your posts, you can reach out to them, and they already know you, so that's going to be a high probability they're going to be receptive to talk to you. And you can reach out to recruiters in your target demographic and let them know you are looking for clients. And you can also post on your social medias like Twitter and LinkedIn that you are available for clients, so they know they can come your way if it seems like a good fit. So what we learned is the traits of the 10x developers, the devs Bullseye, how you can find your niche and start doing freelancing in a specific niche, and how you can market yourself, and how to get freelance clients. So I will share these slides on my Twitter and LinkedIn as well, and you can check out my blog if you want to learn more about freelancing or Angular development, and you're welcome to reach out at my email, christian@christianludemann.com, or at my Twitter at Ludemann. So this shows that having a niche Angular is a really good idea, but Angular seems very much on the decline now. Do you have any regrets about copying in the coming years? I think it's just less hype. Angular is still going to be around, and I'm not really afraid of that. It's still a very good framework, and it still has a unique place in the market. So I'm not really too concerned with that. But worst case, and what you will normally see, you can jump to other frameworks. So you will see Angular developers, but also learn React or Vue later on. And it's not that hard to learn when you're really good in one framework. You can move the knowledge you have in one framework to another framework. So worst case, that's what you would be doing. Just find something similar that's like the new hot thing. But I don't have any problems getting clients with Angular. So I don't. Yeah, but worst case, you'll find something that it's easy to transfer your knowledge to a relevant framework. It's a more stressful freelancing compared to regular job. So I got my first contract, which was a 12 months contract, which is like a pretty safe thing. It's actually I had about the same job security as I had with a normal job. So that wasn't really stressful, the way the contract was set up. And as soon as you have some money saved up, it's not that stressful, and you believe in your skills. So probably the first contract, you want some longer contract. If at least you can get like a 6-month contract, then I don't think it's stressful, because you're gonna make in 6 months, you're gonna make the money you would normally make in 12 months anyways. So if you go without a job in the rest of the year, then you just made the same and you got yourself 6 months of vacation. So I don't see that's that big of a deal once you get the longer longer contracts. What was your approach to finding clients, especially in the pre-referral early days? So I was working with recruiters, actually. I had this recruiter who was helping me getting the first contract, and we were waiting for the right fit. I had this minimum hourly rate I want to get, and he found a client that would pay that. And it also helped that I start blogging. So he was sending these blog posts to the clients, which made me seem even more credible and was putting more proof on the table. So recruiters can be fine, but of course it's better if you can make the sale yourself. You can make like 20% more normally. What blog platform would you recommend to get started marketing yourself? I would start doing WordPress, because WordPress is the easiest way to do it. I've seen people creating like custom, because developers, they can know how to build stuff themselves. I see people build the custom blogging platforms with, React or something like that, and they spend so much time doing it. It can make sense if you need a side project to work on to put in your resume, but if not, WordPress is it's a good platform. You can turn it into a web shop later. You can blog from there, and you can set up something that looks great pretty quickly.
Thank you so much for coming and talking to us and for giving us tips on how to be a freelancer. It was a great talk. Thank you.
Thank you.